Welcome back to another episode of Corralling the Chaos. It is that time of year again when many of you are budgeting for and evaluating new software solutions. So today we wanted to provide a checklist, if you will, of things that you really should be considering because it's a big decision. And let's face it, the solutions out there hit really all different parts of the spectrum. There's industry-specific software versus horizontal solutions, which cater to all industries. There's slick UI versus hard to look at interfaces. There's the new players versus the old players. There's innovative versus the unimaginative. There's secure platforms versus completely exposed. So there's just a litany of things to really consider when thinking about making a move. So as you think about what's right for your business, we wanted to break down a simple checklist to follow and why these should be the criteria to help maneuver through what can really be an overwhelming process if you're not careful and if you don't have some guidance to kind of follow. So the first one I want to talk about is product depth. And what I mean by that is we did a survey, maybe a year ago and discovered most event companies are using between 12 and 13 different pieces of software to produce one event. So that's kind of staggering. That's a lot of opportunity for mishaps. A lot of time spent double, triple, even quadruple entering data into different systems over and over, all to not really have a single source of truth. It's a lot of momentum lost. And mostly it's a bad experience for your team and for your clients when you have critical data stored in 13 different pieces of software. And it's not enough today like it used to be enough to have your gear, a list of gear, and a list of your people in one system. But it has gone so much further than that. So that used to be the finish line for many, but that's really the starting point, is having a list of gear and a list of people in one place. But there's so many other things that it touches. So find something that really ties your entire process together, from sales proposal all the way to collecting payment, and explore the depths of those workflows. I really encourage you to do that. So for example, a customer saying or a company saying that they provide a time system, that doesn't mean just providing a place to enter a start time and an end time. That's just more data entry. But does it actually calculate complex payrolls, your quoting engine, how you bill? Is there a mobile app for your team to track their time, their breaks, their walkaways? Where does the meal penalty fall into all of that? So there's just a lot to think through just in terms of time tracking. So look at the depth of that. What about travel? Again, going beyond just a list of people that you're crewing, but that's a whole thing and a huge cost center for you. So does your product help with that? Does it help your salespeople sell more? At the end of the day, the key is really finding something that's going to enable your teams to do their best work. And the key is teams. So ask yourself, just how many people does the solution that you're looking for help and impact? So that's what we mean by depth of product. The second thing to consider is when looking at different software platforms is what type of industry experience does that company have? A lot of people describe our industry as unique. Sure, it definitely is in some ways, but in many ways, it isn't necessarily unique, but it certainly can be complex. So you know what I'm talking about. Let's start with just the workforce that happened within the event industry. There's nothing traditional about it. So having that industry experience is important. So after all, traditional workforce goes to the same place every day to do the same work every day, makes the same pay rate, has straightforward compensation plans, so there's no OT after midnight, position minimums, and other complexities. So nothing traditional about that. So does your software provider look at you like a deer in headlights when you explain some of these complexities? So what about when you explain something about handling a dark day or how they handle travel days, per diems? Look for a system that can accommodate your entire workforce. That's your full-time employees, your part-time employees. If you have 1099 contractors, do they even know what you mean when you say permalancer? So finding somebody that's worked in your industry is really important. Do they have boots on the ground experience? Have they lived a day in the life of an event company? Point is, don't skimp here. Really, really important. Make sure that you're understood and supported the right way. So empathy for having walked in your shoes can really just go a very, very long way. Third thing on the checklist, in this day and age, security is also table stakes, or at least should be. So you've worked really hard to not have your data stolen. hacked, or jeopardized. So look to see if the companies you're considering are what's called SOC 2 Type 2 certified. So that's a trust service criteria. It used to be called the trust service principles that really examines if that software provider has internal controls and systems related to security, availability, processing integrity, confidentiality, and privacy of your data. It's difficult to become certified. It's also very expensive, very time-consuming. But the legitimate players out there understand the importance of protecting your data. So don't overlook that. Next thing on the checklist is mobile application. Does one exist? So enabling your mobile workforce through a mobile app is really important. I mean, our industry is on the go, in the field, on planes, at show site, working from home, working in the warehouse. They're working all over. So they're a mobile workforce. So choosing the right solution to enable your team requires mobile access. Make it easy for your team to do their jobs. Make sure they have all the pertinent information they need on the go to execute on the job at hand. So choose a company that has a mobile app that is well adopted. Really important, just because you have a mobile app doesn't mean people are adopting it, and that it has high reviews. So the last thing you want is mutiny from your team because they're not enabled to do good work through the use of a mobile app. The next one I think is probably one of the most important ones. It cannot be overstated. The next thing on your checklist is product development. This one is so important. If nothing else, focus on the company that is moving forward and innovating fast. Ask yourself, how do they build products? Are updates driven by user feedback? Is it just based on submitting things via a portal? Or do they have product people that actually talk to their customers, meet in person with their customers, go look at their warehouses, understand their workflows, do focus groups? Are they focused on just features or actually solving problems? You can really kind of tell the difference in those companies when they're asking what problems they're trying to solve versus where do you want this button to go. It's just a really big indicator. Another thing to look at is how big is their development team? Are they experienced developers or are they just fresh out of college? Big difference. How tenured are they at their company? It's just a good indicator of their commitment to continue to build good product. Also look at and ask, how often are they deploying new things? And are those deployments, and you can see things, it's public, are they mainly enhancements and bug fixes? Or is there consistently new products and new functionality, new things that help your team? Next thing on the checklist is time to onboard. No one likes the thought of switching or implementing software because the industry has been so underserved for so long. The bar has been set so incredibly low for what to expect here. So if someone tells you 6 months or more, run and run fast. To implement software for event companies, it should not take more than 60 to 90 days tops. And that's assuming you're going to have some dark time because you're going to be also, producing events while you're trying to implement software. But for most implementations, it really should take no more than 30 days. But it really depends on how many modules or products you're implementing. If you're trying to implement in the middle of your busy season, less time to invest in kind of getting on board. But modern software companies should have a very well-oiled process and procedures. They should be able to supply you with best practices, and they should be able to lead you through a very painless experience. So dig here, ask for the process, meet your onboarding team, lean into this area. Ask if they're going to come on site and work with you and your team. Are they going to be in the ditches or are they just going to give you a manual and a video to watch? It really doesn't have to be as complex as our industry thinks. All right, moving on. Next thing is SLA and uptime. An SLA is a service level agreement. Software oftentimes can be buggy, can be slow to load, error prone, and just flat out hard to use. So ask the potential provider about their uptime. If you have concerns, request an SLA that protects you against downtime and operational errors. Having what's called 5 nines is the golden standard that basically equates to 99.999% uptime. Of course, there's going to be regularly scheduled updates, but ensure they have a high uptime. Next on the checklist to explore is customer experience. Having a great software sometimes can be enough. But more times than not, though, you're still going to have questions that come up. you're going to need a report, or you just want to have a relationship with the company that you're literally running your business on. So find out, what does their support look like? Is it just an email? Is it a black hole? How responsive have they been in the sales process? That's usually a very good indicator. What are their response times in support? Are they willing to commit to that response time? Remember that SLA we just talked about. Also find out, are you going to have a dedicated person? Find out, what do other customers say about their level of support? Do you feel understood? Find out how other new customers are onboarded. Is there going to be on-site support in your office? And then some of the best companies out there actually have a community that allow you to connect with other peers in the industry. Super important, but make sure that you're going to have accessible to you the knowledge you need when you need it, and accessible in the medium in which it's easier for you to learn. So customer experience should really be kind of make or break. The next one is financial ability, which is really the last one on our checklist. And it's often overlooked, but it really shouldn't be. So find out, is it a lifestyle business for the owner? Does the company have access to capital to continue to invest? Is the money that they are profiting being reinvested in the business to accommodate some of the ever-changing landscape of software today? Because building and hosting software and keeping it secure is a very, very expensive endeavor. So you're going to want to make sure you pick a company that has the financial means to compete and to continue to keep your information accessible and secure. So make sure you partner with a company who has shown their ability to continue to invest in improving. So obviously, these are just a few things to consider as you look to make a move. I know it can seem daunting to pick a software. However, take the leap of faith with the right company. It can actually be life-changing. It will change your business. It will change the lives of your team. But don't be afraid to change. We often hear so many times from companies in the industry where they've been with the same company for 10 years and the thought of change is just so scary. But embrace it. Take the leap of faith. The industry is moving really fast, and you will be left behind if you're not able to move quickly with it, and if you're not able to find a partner that is also moving quickly. So do your due diligence, ask the right questions, and then go all in. Software companies, we're not miracle workers. It takes a team. It takes buy-in from you and your team as well. But as the African proverb says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. So just pick the right partner for your journey. I really appreciate you all tuning in today for another episode. If you like what you hear, don't forget to hit subscribe and reach out with any comments, questions, feedback at podcast@lasso.io. Thanks, everybody.